Good morning and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. It is March 29th, 2024. This is a podcast by a dreamer for dreamers. Comedian, actor, improviser Paul Green coming to you, documenting my journey. So, last night I had an incredible show up at the Desert Ridge Improv, which is in the North Phoenix area. My first time ever performing at that club, and I was very impressed. It is a very impressive venue, and I'm surprised I didn't even know it was there. It's about 3 minutes away from another fairly prominent stand-up comedy club called Rick Bronson's House of Comedy, which is also up, obviously, in that same area. It's about 3 minutes away, but I did not know that the Desert Ridge Improv, which is part of the famous improv brands, you know, the Hollywood Improv, there's a Tempe Improv, there's a La Jolla Improv, I think there's a Houston Improv, I think there's one in Florida, I think there's one in Chicago, maybe. I don't remember where all the franchises are, but, you know, it's a fairly significant brand in the comedy club arena. So last night I was booked to host a bit of a unique comedy show. So the person who booked me is a buddy of mine from Los Angeles whose name is Dave Neal, and Dave is a YouTube podcaster like myself, although he's been significantly more successful. So he does a podcast called the Bachelor Rush Hour Podcast, which is a podcast that is all geared around the Bachelor television show and the Bachelorette and that whole franchise. So he started a podcast and a YouTube channel, in essence, commentating, discussing everything that's going on with The Bachelor. And he's grown it into a successful online venture. And then from that, he's started to build an audience and build a following, and is now able to sell tickets to a show. So last night, he put together a show. So he booked me, another comedian friend of his who he's traveling with, and then another local comedian named Dana, who was incredibly funny. And then he actually had a prior bachelor, whose name is Clayton Eckert, who lives locally here in Arizona, come out and do a Q&A at the end of the show, which was very interesting, a very cool show idea. And the house was just packed. It was an incredible turnout. The venue did a fantastic job. Every seat was full. There was like a section in the back, like in the very back of the club that was empty, but there was nobody sitting there. The venue did a very good job of literally filling every seat, from the stage back, and it was very full. I bet you it was pushing maybe 200, maybe even a little more people who came out to see this show and to first of all see Dave. So Dave's, he's a bit of celebrity in this arena. His YouTube blog has been very successful, and people follow him. They like his commentary. They like what he has to say. And so they have gotten involved. And I got the sense that because so much of his blog is really putting himself online, Dave is also married, and actually his wife is due to give birth next month. And she was an influencer as well online. And so the two of them are sort of this power couple with a social media influence. And so he asked me to come out and host the show and to be the first comic, which I just love doing. I just love coming out there especially this type of audience, they were so enthusiastic. They were so excited because they knew that a celebrity, like Dave is a celebrity. He's this podcaster who they follow and they invest in. And then they also knew that there was going to be, that Clayton was going to be there from The Bachelor. So they were very enthusiastic, great energy, high energy. They were laughing. They were having a great time. So I hosted the show. I came out, got everybody all hyped up, and then did some, did my material and had some fun interactions with the audience. They were very receptive, a lot of fun. And then obviously I hosted the show. I brought up the remaining comics and then brought Dave up onto the stage. And then after that, just hung out in back and watched Dave's set. He had a great set. He's a great comic. And then there was the Q&A with the Bachelor contestants. So all in all, just a really fun show. Really grateful for the show. And had a handful of people come up to me after the show and thank me for my set. Had some really deep conversations. There were a couple of people who were there who I ended up talking to for a good 15, 20 minutes just about some things that I had talked about in my routine and what's going on in their life. And it was really cool. And it was really cool to see what Dave's been able to produce. I mean, I was just so impressed. And for those of you who follow the podcast know that I'm very much in this position where I'm trying to figure out how to attract those sort of eyeballs and then have the ability to sell tickets. And he's cracking that code and is just doing a fantastic job and is now able to put on really great shows at really great venues and have enthusiastic audiences come out by the hundreds and pay to see the show. And just a really cool experience. And I was so grateful that he reached out to me. He and I were friends in LA. I think we met at an open mic. And then, just knew each other from the open mic scene and have, kept in touch. I think I helped him move a couple times, just things like that. And he's a really great guy, really solid guy, really funny comic. And again, has been very successful on YouTube. So that was a really great experience. And more and more, it's again, if you've been following this week, I've had a lot of sort of self-reflective experiences this week where I'm really having to start to look at myself and look at my belief systems and look at my assumptions and look at my attitude and look at my work ethic and my behaviors and I'm trying to get an understanding of where I'm getting in my own way to have the success that I say that I want. This reminds me, I remember reading this sort of business leadership book. And man, I'm not even going to be able to probably pull up in my mind who wrote this book. But as part of this book, man, I'm going to kick myself for not being able to remember. Jerry Colonia? Does that sound right? Anybody can fact check me on that. But they call him like the CEO whisperer because he just has this uncanny ability to connect with CEOs of companies and to really get them to like his sort of his calling card is he'll get these high-powered CEOs and then he'll have them like break down and be in tears in like minutes after talking to him, because he actually gets them to cut through all of the bullshit and just really connect with everything that's going on. And anyway, really fascinating guy. I've listened to a bunch of his podcasts as well, which I cannot remember. It's been a couple of years. And I read his book too, which I also cannot remember. So I'm being very helpful right now. But I remember one of the, he's real big on journal prompts. And so it's like every chapter of his book, he'll have this journal prompt, which is a question. So he'll say, take this question, this will be your journal prompt, and then answer this question and journal about it. And one of the questions he asks, or one of the journal prompts that he gives, is something along the lines of, in what ways am I complicit in creating the things that I say I don't want? In what ways am I complicit in creating the things that I say I don't want? And I'll tell you, I remember just reading that and going, oh my gosh, how many things am I doing? How many things am I thinking? How many things in my behavior am I consciously or unconsciously doing on a consistent basis that are bringing about, maybe it's the conditions, maybe it's not the things, that in what way am I complicit in bringing about the conditions that I say I don't want? That doesn't sound right either. I don't remember what the noun is there. But it's something along those lines. And so that's really what I've had to dive into. And I'll tell you, your boy's got a lot of work to do there, my friends, in terms of how I can be less complicit in generating the conditions that I say I don't want. And I don't know, just seeing Dave up there just crushing it and being in a position to produce a show like that and to have that many loyal fans. He was getting baby gifts because his wife is pregnant. These fans were bringing him gifts and like gifts for the baby. And he said that he had a baby registry and that his fans just cleaned it out, and that now there's just this steady train of Amazon delivery cars just dropping off all of these baby gifts to his house because of his fans. They just went to his baby registry and they want to support him. And I just think that is so incredible. And I'm just so happy for him and happy and grateful that he would think of me, of all of the comics out there who could host and open the show, that when he came through Phoenix, that he remembered that that's where I live, and he reached out to me to book me for this show. So really grateful for that, really grateful for that experience. And yeah, I am, I've got some work to do both internally and externally if I'm going to have even a chance of replicating any sort of degree of success, either consistent or greater than what my buddy's done. And so I've been thinking about that humbly and honestly, and I don't know what the answer is, but I am really just starting to try to address those perhaps bigger, potentially hindering elements of my personality and my psyche, my belief systems, and seeing if I can't make some adjustments there that will lead to greater results and greater success. So that's my challenge, everybody. That's what I'm up to on my dream journey. So I think I will leave you all there. I know it's a little bit shorter one than I usually do, but I will let you all go for the day. I hope that you're all doing well, that your dreams are going fantastic. Thank you so much for listening. I love you all so much. This is March 29th, 2024, episode 100. and 21 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. I will talk to you tomorrow.